So my entire degree grade relies upon my grades in these 10 exams that I will sit in the space of 2.5 weeks. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Viola. I am a 4th and final year student studying classics at the University of Oxford, and today I thought I would talk you through how I am planning my time from pretty much now right through until my final exams are finished around June the 12th. Quite a long time. I've got 3 months pretty much until my exams are completely over and my entire degree is done and dusted, totally finished. So I hope that talking through how I'm planning my time might help you if you are about to have GCSEs, A-levels, other university exams. So hopefully I can give you some kind of tips as well for planning your revision time. So what you might not know is that at Oxford, your degree depends entirely on your final year. So 100% of my degree is on my final year and depends on these exams and the grades I get. For me, studying classics, I have 10 exams that I will sit in the space of 2.5 weeks. So let's take a moment there. You can cry for me, cry with me. I know it's ridiculous. I've got a calendar which I'll put on the screen, but you can see March, April, May, June. So what I've done with my timetable is the first thing I've done is I've put in any final deadlines. So for me, I am writing a 10,000 word thesis on top of my exams, and although the official submission date for that is late April, because I have 10 exams, I cannot have it getting in the way during my prime revision time, which would be over the Easter holidays. So what I've done is I've given myself a deadline that I really hope I can stick to, but I want to submit and have my thesis completely finished by the 24th of March. So that is just over 2 weeks from now, and I'm a bit worried about whether it will get done by then, but I really am hoping that it does. Other things I put in, so I've chosen the colour green to colour code days that I know that I'll be doing something, or I know that there's some kind of event, or I want to kind of take that day for myself. So for me, those are Mother's Day and then the Easter weekend. I've also just written off, because although I will probably do maybe a tiny bit of revision, I just want to be on the safe side and say to myself, no, be realistic, just take those 2 days off and discard them, because you never know what's going to happen and you probably won't get that much revision done. I've tried to be really realistic with having break times and giving myself days as buffer time. So I've gone in and every single week from after my thesis submission deadline until my exams start, 8 full weeks, and I have been very realistic and I've given myself 8 full buffer days. I might not end up using these buffer days, but I think it's always good to be realistic when you might be doing work and you fall behind and you need extra time to catch up on it, or if you fall ill. We don't know what could happen. You could genuinely get sick. If I get sick, that's just going to throw off my entire revision timetable. So I've added in these buffer days as just in cases, which I think is so important, because that means you're planning your revision, giving yourself less time, and that means that you're making sure that with less time you will still get everything done. And so if you have these extra days, you can do extra work, or you can just take the day off and actually go and do something fun to break up your revision. On top of that, once per week I've given myself an afternoon off / an afternoon buffer. So to break up revision during the week, I will have a full afternoon where I can plan to do something nice, I can meet up with friends, I can do something where I've given myself that time and I mentally know I don't have to feel guilty for not doing work at this time. So in the intense revision of finals, I just know that I will probably at some point not feel able to be doing work. I know that I'll want to have a break, so I've given myself one afternoon off every single week. I say afternoon because for me, I like to do work in the morning and then I can have the afternoon off. So that's what I've done as well, because again, I might not need it, I might not want it, but it's there and it's a space of time that I have scheduled in that I don't have to feel guilty about not doing any kind of work. So I've done that once per week as well. And to me, it does kind of sound scary because it does give me a lot less days to work with, but it's a good kind of scary because I think that I'm being very realistic. We don't know what can happen. So I've counted up how many days I have left after I've submitted my thesis. I have 61 full days, but if you add in the buffer time I've given myself, that's 51 days. Doesn't sound like a lot, and if you calculate it, that ends up at an average of 5.5 days per paper. And to me, as someone who just doesn't feel prepared for these exams whatsoever, does not seem like a lot of time at all. But we're going to stay positive and we are going to plan efficiently and effectively right now. As I said, I have 10 exams, but they are covering 8 papers. I don't know my examination timetable yet. They haven't released it. I have no idea what order they're going to be in, but I'm just going to go through the exams that I have and see how many topics I need to cover, and then we'll go from there. I have Roman History 5. That is split into 2 exams. One of the exams is 3 hours and you write 3 essays. The other one is 1.5 hours and it's translation and gobbets. Next I have Roman History 6. That's again split into 2 papers, 3 hours, 3 essays, 1.5 hours, translation and gobbets. Then I have Latin Philosophy. That is 3 hours, I think 2 translations, I think 2 or 3 gobbets and 2 essays. And then I have Hellenistic Philosophy, which is 3 hours, 1 translation, 3 gobbets, 2 essays. Then I have Knowledge and Reality, 3 hours, 3 essays. Cicero, Politics and Thought, 3 hours, 3 gobbets, 3 essays. Roman Art, 3 hours, 3 picture questions, 3 essays. Roman Archaeology, 3 hours, 3 picture questions, 3 essays. Okay, so what I've done is I have 51 days, full days of revision work. And what I've done is, although I have 8 papers with 10 exams, I'm not going to divide it by 10 because the other papers, they're not sole papers. They make up part of a whole paper. Instead, I've treated the papers which have 2 as a paper and a half. So if you do 51 divided by 9, that gives me 5.6 days per individual paper. So I've given myself roughly 5.5 days for all the papers that are only 1 paper. And then the ones which are more than that is 8.5 days. Within each paper, I've then also made a checklist of all the topics that I need to cover. And it looks as though generally I will have a day per topic, which doesn't seem like that much, but that's what I'm gonna have to do to get everything covered, to do a day per topic. So I'm just going to show you quickly what my to-do list for each individual paper looks like as well. So at Oxford, they are so kind of pretentious with the classics course because it's so old and prestigious and very traditional. So our finals exams are actually called greats because they're apparently really great. I don't know. So I've got here just my list of all of the papers that I'm studying. I'm doing an optional thesis. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen me moaning about it and talking about my thesis, and in my other videos, you'll see me talking about it. It's an optional 9th thesis, so it means that I don't have to do it and I still have to sit all of these papers. It's really complicated about how it works and whether it will actually go towards my exam grade, but I think maybe I'll explain more about that in a video that I'm doing about my thesis and just about how the classics course at Oxford works, because it is quite confusing. So let me just show you the Roman History 6. We will go to my to-do list, and this is my revision prep for the essays paper. So I've made a table of 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, roughly 6 topics I'll be covering for this paper. I think for the essays, I have to write 3 essays. So I've just made this table where it's a tick box thing of have I gone through the lecture notes and extracted any relevant information that's going to be really useful for essays in an exam? Have I gone through my tutorial notes? Have I done any extra reading that might be useful? Have I then made revision notes? And then have I then put these revision notes into Anki? And then have I made essay plans for the topic? And then have I put essay plans into Anki as flashcards? That's my planning method at the moment. I'm not sure if it's going to work or if I have enough time to even do all of these things, but you know, we're just going to have to try. So now I have a rough idea of how much time I have for each paper and how much I have to get done. So it does kind of feel overwhelming, but what can you do? That is the amount of time I have. And I am not going to try and get stressed about it. I'm just going to do as much as I can in this time. I'm not going to assign specific papers or topics to specific days because I want to be really flexible. I want to do what I feel like doing that day, knowing how much allocated time I have for the paper and how much time I have left, and just ticking things off the individual to-do lists. That's all I can really do. I hope this has kind of helped you. It's given you some kind of idea of how other people structure their revision and what they're kind of planning on doing. I hope this wasn't too confusing and that you did find this video kind of useful. Let me know in the comment section below if you're currently going through exams, how you're planning on revising, and what your top tip would be, just so we can share and have the comment section be a little community of knowledge. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you want to see more finals related videos, exam, revision, studying, because that's what I'm going to be doing really for the next few months. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.